You feel your body shutting down. Everything goes dark. But instead of peace, there's fire, screams, a force dragging you downward. You try to fight, but shadowy figures grab you. A voice whispers in your ear, "You don't belong here." Suddenly you wake up, back in the real world, gasping for air. This isn't a horror movie. It's a real near-death experience, and thousands of people claim to have gone through something just like this. But why? Why do some people see light and warmth, while others experience pure terror? Is it a hallucination, a warning, or something much, much worse? The truth behind these experiences is chilling, and today, we're diving into the most terrifying near-death experiences ever recorded. Stories that might just change the way you see life and death. 1. The man who woke up in hell. In 1985, Howard Storm, a university professor and lifelong atheist, collapsed from a sudden illness. When he lost consciousness, he expected nothing, just emptiness. Instead, he woke up in complete darkness. At first, he felt normal, until he realized his body was still lying on the hospital bed. He wasn't in his body anymore. Then, they came. Strange figures emerged from the shadows. At first, they seemed friendly, calling his name and urging him to follow. Their voices were calm, almost hypnotic. But as he walked, the figures became aggressive. Their voices turned mocking. They started clawing at him, dragging him into deeper darkness. He tried to fight, but they overpowered him. Then they tore him apart. But just before he lost all hope, he remembered something. As a child, he had heard about Jesus. He had never been religious, but in his desperation, he screamed, "Jesus, save me!" And in that instant, a blinding light appeared. The dark figures shrieked and fled. He was lifted out of the darkness, then woke up in his hospital bed. Howard Storm was never the same again. Was it a hallucination, or was he given a second chance? After this experience, Howard completely changed his life. He left his career as an art professor and became a pastor. He spent the rest of his life warning others about what he saw. But skeptics argue that his experience was nothing more than a trick of the dying brain, that it was just a dream. But if that were true, then why have so many others experienced the exact same thing? 2. The woman who saw souls begging for mercy. Another chilling account comes from a woman who suffered a heart attack. She felt herself leaving her body, floating in a dark tunnel. But instead of light at the end, she saw fire. People were crying, screaming for help, reaching out but never escaping. A demonic voice laughed as shadowy creatures pulled them deeper. She recognized some of the faces, people she had known in life, people she never expected to see suffering like this. One of them turned to her and screamed, "Get out while you can!" And in that instant, she woke up, shaking, crying, and forever changed. She later described the experience as the most terrifying thing she had ever witnessed. She had never believed in an afterlife before, but after what she saw, she knew she could never be the same again. She spent years searching for answers, speaking to priests, scientists, and psychologists, but none of them could explain why her experience felt so real. Could it really have been just a hallucination? Or was she given a warning of what happens after death? 3. Why do some people see hell? Not everyone who dies and comes back sees heaven, but why? There are 3 main theories. Scientific explanation. Some neurologists believe these experiences happen due to a lack of oxygen in the brain. The mind enters a state of panic, creating hallucinations of fear, darkness, and suffering. This would explain why some people see terrifying visions in their final moments. Religious theory. Many believe these experiences are warnings, glimpses of what happens to souls who haven't repented or lived morally. Some believe that these visions are temporary experiences of a real place, meant to give people a second chance, something beyond science. Some researchers argue that these stories are too consistent across different cultures, religions, and backgrounds to be just hallucinations. They might be real. Many of these experiences are eerily similar. People who had no prior belief in religion suddenly find themselves convinced that hell exists. Others describe a presence so evil that they can never forget it. And then there are those who experience something even worse. Complete and utter emptiness. No light, no fire. just endless void. Some say this is even more terrifying than hell itself. But if these experiences are real, what do they mean? 4. The chilling patterns in near-death experiences. One of the most disturbing aspects of these near-death experiences is how often they follow the same patterns. In many cases, people report being pulled downward. Some describe a long, endless fall. Others say they are dragged by shadowy beings, unable to fight back. The overwhelming sensation is fear, an all-consuming terror, unlike anything they have ever felt before. But here's where it gets even stranger. Many of these people later describe seeing a door, a single doorway in the distance. Some never reach it. Others see it open, revealing what lies beyond. Some say they hear voices calling them. Others say they hear screaming from the other side. And then they wake up. But for those who don't, the experience continues. And what happens next is even more disturbing. 5. Final thought. A warning, or something worse. Thousands of people have reported these hellish near-death experiences. Some change their entire lives afterward, believing they were given a second chance. Others live in fear, knowing what awaits them if they ever die again. Some scientists claim that all of these experiences can be explained by the brain shutting down. But if that's the case, why do so many people describe the exact same thing? Why do they see figures? Why do they feel a presence? And why do so many of them come back completely transformed? The biggest question of all is this: if you died tonight, what would you see? Would you wake up in peace? Or would you find yourself somewhere much, much worse? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more real-life near-death mysteries, make sure to subscribe, because we have some even darker stories coming soon. Don't say we didn't warn you. Subscribe for more videos.